There's somebody I'd like you to meet. Somebody else who has been to prison, who can tell you what it is really like. I'm Prison Mike!
The signs of the truth are everywhere, perhaps even in places we would never think to look. In video games, books, comedies, and more. Today, we will see how arguably the best comedy show in the last 2 decades depicts exactly what God Almighty Allah teaches us in the Quran. Let's see what The Office has to do with the Quran.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
In this video, we will be discussing Surah Al-Anbiya verse 22, Surah Al-Isra verse 42, and Surah Al-Mu'minun verse 91. And we will use the episodes in The Office, Season 3, Episode 3, Season 6, Episode 2 to 3, and Season 6, Episode 16 as analogies to explore and discuss the Quran's arguments for why there can only be one God worthy of worship. When we refer to Allah, we are speaking of a deity who is for all intents and purposes entirely above all. This is a basic criterion that must be fulfilled by anyone who claims to be a supreme being worthy of worship. The 3 verses of the Quran that were mentioned all claim that the concept of multiple gods is completely illogical, and the common conclusion the verses present is that if multiple deities existed, hypothetically, they would all fight against each other.
The decision to turn on Michael was difficult, but once I did it, I didn't look back. I want the branch.
Dwight, a salesman, is now discussing with higher-ups on taking away the manager position from his friend Michael. But Michael eventually finds out and pulls rank, and this is the magnificent, embarrassing scene that ensues.
Know what you did.
Please.
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't fire you right here on the spot. I'm excellent sales numbers. Not good enough. I'll do anything. Anything.
But I promise I'll never betray you again. What can I do?
For those of you who don't know the show very well, Dwight has always been a very ambitious person, and he's always wanted Michael's manager position. However, there's only one position, so he has to compete to get it. In fact, this isn't even the only time that somebody tries to take Michael's position away from him, but I wanted to show the scene first in particular because it shows the only possible rational outcome of a competition between multiple persons. That rational outcome being that there's only one left standing, only one winner. In the context of multiple deities and there only being one God worthy of worship, Allah very aptly describes it in the Quran in verse 1743.
Subhanahu wa ta'ala amma yaquluna 'uluwan kabira.
Two branch managers, both of you guys working as co-managers. Jim would handle the day-to-day, and Michael, you would focus on clients and big picture stuff. Co-manager and co-manager.
Well, that might be a little confusing for people because they know me as manager.
Could you please sign my expense report?
That is Jim's now. I am exclusively big picture, epic.
Sign this. Where's the police? We're not animals.
Idiot.
I have a complaint about Jim.
That is not big picture. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out.
I'm in nature. I hope the segue worked. As you've seen in the scene, Dwight is trying to get a simple expense report signed, but neither boss is cooperating. Each boss now has half of the duties that one manager would normally have. Therefore, one must ask, is Michael even doing the job of a manager? In fact, we see that his duties are diluted down and he's no longer fully the manager. And same goes with Jim. They both have half of a job, not the entire job. Too much wind here.
What we're doing here, Michael handles more of the big picture stuff, and I handle more of the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
So together...
I think I understand.
All right.
Each of you is doing half a job.
No.
And sometimes I can hardly handle that.
And by the end of the scene, Dwight never gets his expense report signed, and even simple tasks are not being done. This problem is only maximized throughout the episode. Michael and Jim are tasked to decide who gets pay bonuses and who doesn't. While this is a tough decision as it will upset some people, it is inherently the job duty of a manager to make such tough decisions. The problem is neither manager works in the same way. They are two distinct persons and therefore they work in two separate ways. Throughout the episode, we keep seeing that Michael and Jim are interjecting one another whenever one of them wants to make a decision. In his Tafsir, Ibn Kathir says regarding Surah Al-Mu'minun verse 91, if there were a number of gods, each of them would try to subdue the other with enmity and one would prevail over the other, using the evidence of mutual resistance. This idea states that if there were two or more creators, one would want to make a body move while the other would want to keep it immobile. And if neither of them could achieve what they wanted, then both would be incapable, but the one whose existence is essential cannot be incapable.
ما اتخذ الله من ولد وما كان معه من إله إذا لذهب كل إله بما خلق ولعلى بعضهم على بعض سبحان الله عما يصفون.
By the end of the episode, Michael and Jim never actually make a decision and are instead hiding from their employees who are so angry at them because of their inability to make a decision.
Just pretend we're not here.
We see that by having multiple co-managers in this company, that the entire ecosystem is completely corrupt and broken.
لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا فسبحان الله رب العرش عما يصفون.
As seen in the episode, when co-deities exist with equal power, yet distinct wills and distinct personalities, they will constantly clash against one another because they're managing the same universe, Earth, solar system, whatever. They would constantly clash just as Michael and Jim do. If we apply that to such a large context like the universe or heaven and hell, co-deities would completely corrupt this universal system. These plants, this mountain, would simply not exist because everything would be in chaos as the co-deities would not be able to make a single decision. It really makes me appreciate Allah's wisdom when He points out that multiple deities or co-deities would constantly compete against one another.
قل لو كان معه آلهة كما يقولون إذا لابتغوا إلى ذي العرش سبيلا.
One may ask the question, why cannot the deities compromise or cooperate with one another? If, let's say, deity A wants to build a star in the Andromeda galaxy and the deity B wants to build a star in the Milky Way, why cannot deity B say, oh well, I'll let you have this one and let's go build a star in the Andromeda galaxy?
That would be a good time to freshen up because I'd like everyone to meet in the conference room in 5 minutes, and I suggest that you bring a snack because we may be in there for a while.
Michael,
Yes.
can I talk to you in my office for a second?
Sure, but could I first talk to you in my office?
The problem with that is, if deity B was truly more powerful than all other beings, then deity B would never have to compromise. If deity B wanted, he could have anything he ever wanted without ever having to compromise, assuming he has infinite power, infinite will above all. But the fact is, if he is compromising with someone else, his divinity, his majesty or sovereignty is also compromised, as he needs to serve deity A in this scenario. As Ibn Kathir says, so it is impossible for there to be such a plurality, because if the will of one is fulfilled and not the other, the one who prevails will be the one whose existence is essential, i.e. God, and the one who is prevailed over will be merely possible, i.e. he is not divine. Therefore, it is also another sign of impotence and thus not the true God worthy of worship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I surely enjoyed making the video and, coming out here to do a little bit of segment out in nature. And of course, there's a lot of new videos coming, inshallah, that you'll be able to enjoy and be notified of if you are subscribed to me. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.